Welcome to Feisty Chess. My name is Ben. I'm going to play a game on Lichess against Logan Borgy 87. 15-10 game. We'll go with our usual open game here. And always looking for my chance to play the two knights. Okay. I had a fun time with the Traxler. I'm worried about spoiling it, but I'm going to go for it again. Last time I got to play this, I always look forward to my opponent playing knight g5 and the two knights. And for a long time I played d5, but I've been trying out the Traxler, so in part so I can better remember some of the lines and some of the themes here. Let's go for it. Let's play the Traxler. Bishop c5. A friend of mine had been playing chess for a long time. He didn't realize this was even a move. He thought this was just a completely losing move. Never heard of the Traxler. Thought after knight takes f7 here, black is just busted. The position is resignable. And I'm sure at some point maybe just a few years ago, before I'd really heard of the Traxler, I was in the same spot. But the Traxler is viable. It is wild. It's about as wild as an opening gets. And it's a knife's edge you're walking. You really have to know your lines. So I need to practice this. Traxler theory actually points in this direction, that knight takes f7 here is a mistake. That bishop takes f7 is really what's called for. It's more forcing, right? It's a check. And then black goes with king e7. But even then, black is still fighting. And a lot of grandmaster games, black has, managed to get an aggressive game and force resignation. I think it was Alexei Shirov actually did play this. Okay, the move after knight takes f7 is bishop takes f2 check. And white can either take on f2 or king to f1. Which one do you think is better? Taking on f2, I think allows black to force a draw. I think that's the best that white can hope for if black plays really well. So actually the main move is king f1 here, believe it or not. Problem with taking on f2 is then I take with a knight on e4 with check, and then my queen is going to come probably out to h5 next move, depending on where the king goes. And I'm able to parry all these threats on my queen and rook, getting those pieces out of trouble, or at least the queen, while continuing to make threats on the black king. All right. Looks like I found an opponent who doesn't know the theory of the Traxler. I think a lot of, back to this position here, a lot of people study up for d5, ed, and then especially knight a5, the main line. After this, knight a5 isn't the only option black has. Black has lots of options in the two knights defense. But even before we get to d5, bishop c5 is a viable option. Only the most swashbuckling daredevils dare play this Traxler variation. So if he goes king f1, that's when I just simply need to get my queen out of danger and go queen e7. And then if he takes my rook, I do remember, because this is the part I messed up last time, my opponent did play king f1, and then queen e7, knight takes h8, and then I went knight d4, but the move I should have played was d5 first. Fortunately, my opponent made a mistake, and it didn't matter. It transposed into those lines. Okay, here goes this line. Knight takes e4 check. Be right back. I'm glad I got a game in today. Okay, King G1 is the only move, actually. Now, I don't know exactly, maybe remember necessarily how to refute all the other possible moves. King E2, King E1, King F1, King E3, King F3 even. There's lots of options, but I do know that this is the best move, and I know that the follow-up is Queen H4. Threatens a mate on F2, and if G3, which is the most likely move, I don't see... Yeah, now... Okay, this is good. I'm getting to drill some of this stuff. Now knight takes G3. Okay. I'm at the end of my strict memory here, but this should make sense. I have Queen D4. I also have Queen G3. Queen G3 forces King F1. In which case I should be able to pick up the bishop, you would think, but my king is not all that safe either. I think that's the only move that makes sense. I also just have queen takes c4 right here. Okay, we gotta look at some variations. Most forcing, queen takes g3, king f1. I've got a couple options. I got rook, here to try to pick up two pieces for the rook, but I don't like the looks. Let's say queen h4, sorry, queen h5 in that case. So instead I could go queen f4 check. And when he moves the king, I'm picking up the bishop. Okay, I've also got queen d4 check, after which he could move his king to g2. I don't see the point of that check so much as I think it would make more sense just to grab the bishop and hold that check in reserve. Then he can play d4, I suppose. He needs a tempo to take on h8. Say I grab the bishop, he takes on h8. I don't really have the goods to continue the attack. I got the lone queen. So queen g3, queen f4, and follow that with the king. King will have to go somewhere, not e2, either e1 or back to g1. I'll be able to follow up with rook here. That's got to be pretty good for me. Let's see, I'm already down a piece. There's the forcing line here. I'm going to go for queen g3. I'm up 3 pawns for the piece, so it's some kind of dynamic equality. Rook f8. What am I concerned about? Rook takes here. Rook f8 pins the knight. The knight can't move. Okay, that's really key. So if he goes queen h4, he's not really making any threats as long as his king stays on the f-file. I also have knight d4. Does that threaten anything? Knight d4 tightens the net around his king, but I don't have the goods to make that happen. So the question is between rook f8 right now or queen f4 check immediately. Okay, I got 3 pawns for the piece. I can pick up both of those pieces. Queen f4 check, king moves. You know, wherever the king goes, I'm going to be threatening a mate, aren't I? That means I don't need to play rook f8 immediately. I could play it the next move. The knight's not strictly pinned then, but he won't have time to do much else. Okay. The queen being on f4 does open it up to a discovered attack by the bishop. So d3 could be a move that both protects this bishop. Okay, queen f4, king moves, rook f8, d3. Yeah, I don't like the looks of that. Okay, rook f8. Rook f8, queen h5. g6, queen takes h7. All right, let's go for this. See where the king goes. I didn't like the looks of rook f8 immediately. Oh, I could castle. I could actually castle, but queen h5 still looks pretty brutal in that case. Yeah, this is going to take some looking into. Castle, queen h5, and then maybe d5. It's too crazy. Maybe just queen g6 then? queen takes, pawn takes. The knight's pinned. I'm going to win it for the two pieces. My pawns are kind of ruined here, but I have a material advantage and a bit of a development advantage. Okay. I still have the chance to castle. By doing the same. Now I could go for queen d4. That's an improved version. Let's go ahead and repeat once. Could use the extra few seconds. Might get a chance to play this castling line. I don't know what white is waiting for. I think black is better here. I don't think I need to force a draw. Okay, if I win those two pieces for the bishop, for the rook. What's left on the board there? I'm down in exchange, but I've got a couple of pawns. Kings are not safe. Castling just looks too crazy, too fun. Am I missing anything here? He doesn't have any knight moves. It's just absolutely pinned. Okay. We are castling into a potential discovery, but I don't see. I think queen h5, and I've got queen g6 at that point. Or actually, maybe better is queen f4 followed by taking on c4, and then he can take. All right, here's what I'm looking at, folks. Queen h5, queen check, say king g1, queen takes c4, queen takes h7 check, king here, and I may be running for a little bit with my king, but I think my queen guarding on the 5th rank helps a lot, and his king is just as exposed. But in that case, that's another way to win the two pieces for the rook. The other way, though, is getting the queens off the board. Yeah, okay, now queen g6. queen takes, pawn takes. My structure gets messed up, but it's better than just losing a pawn, I suppose. Are there other possibilities? Let's think broad before we think deep. He's threatening mate, so there aren't that many possibilities. D5? No. Okay. Keeping the queens on or getting them off? That's maybe the question. I don't like the looks. I'm down on time, and I don't like the looks of my king position, so I'm going to go for this. Expect a trade of queens. Whether that's through queen f3, rook takes, check, or queen takes queen on g6. Actually, the queen f3 line might be better because I think he gets to grab the h-pawn for that. At the very least, he'll double these pawns, but it's probably better just to grab a pawn. Although that might cost him a tempo. He could even go d5 as an intermediate move. Wild game. I'm down 2 pieces. I'm down 2 pieces. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. How did I miss that I was down 2 pieces? Wow. The Traxler will do this to you. Whew. So he has no reason not to just trade queens. At that point, I'll basically be a rook down, not an exchange down. Actually, I'm hoping for queen f3 here. That allows me d5, and I can... Knight d8 is an idea, of acting on that knight. Right. Lost my bishop. I was down that piece to begin with. Yeah, I'll need to revisit the Traxler video after this. Maybe this is the line where I could force the draw. And I had that perpetual check. Well, white repeated once. It didn't mean he didn't have other options other than king g1. Going back here. Lichess even helps me out and tells me he's +3. I mean, I got 3 pawns, but he's got 2 pieces. Maybe d5 is the idea here. Yeah, d5 looks strong. I didn't consider that. The threat is bishop. I mean, the threat is the bishop on c5, but it's also that check on h3. That threat no longer exists. And Logan Borgie, 87, is taking quite a bit of time here. I say trade the queens off. Oh, queen f3 does look like a good alternative actually, because it breaks the pin on the knight. Yeah, I'm lost here. Okay. That's what it looks like to learn the Traxler, folks. You gotta take your lumps. Either queen f3 or I suppose I got d5 after queen f3, but he can take with either the queen or the bishop then. Well, we're building a time advantage. Maybe Logan Borgie also doesn't realize he's up 2 pieces. I did notice I had a development advantage earlier. That's because I noticed a lot of undeveloped pieces and fewer undeveloped pieces back here on my back rank, right? I've just got these 2 undeveloped pieces, whereas he has these 3 stuck behind the same wall of pawns. But that's not a development advantage for me, that's a piece advantage for him. So, man, you got to keep your wits about you. You know, when I do lose, it feels a lot better to lose in this fashion than in some of my other losses, like long endings where I end up with too low on time. Right, when I'm actually playing boldly and taking risks, maybe it's just that I feel like I can say, hey, I played the Traxler, so that's why I lost, right? That's that makes it easier somehow. Logan Borgie may be letting me off the hook. I don't know what's taking so long. Part of me is sort of hopeful for a victory by timeout, but part of me is also like, this is an injustice to chess because I've committed some grave errors here that probably shouldn't go unpunished. But we may be looking at some kind of timeout, disconnect kind of victory here. Nonetheless, if that happens, we'll have plenty to analyze because that's the Traxler for you. All right. That's time. Well, it'd be strange. It'd be funny if my opponent thought he was only a piece up, and I would only be the exchange down after winning these two pieces for the rook. It'd be funny if you had the same delusion as I did, but didn't realize it in time. Okay. Let's look at this. Relatively short game. Here's the infamous Traxler. White takes on f2, so this gives him a piece advantage out of the get-go. I've got a pawn for my piece. I know queen h4 is the move here. And I'm almost certain knight takes g3 is the move here. I think, at this point, I think d5 is the move. Let's pull up the analysis board. Probably this has been reached before. Rook f8. Okay, well, theory might know it, even if practice doesn't. It likes black. Computer likes black despite being two pieces down at the moment. Okay, likes white after this. Still likes rook f8. Okay, I was concerned about, say, queen h5 here. It wants bishop d5 to try to trade pieces, I guess. d6, queen f3. Ah, that x-ray guards h3, so I can't go bishop h3 at the moment. But just queen takes f3, and I'm getting that a full piece back here with a threat on another piece. King g2 and knight d4. I'm still threatening pieces. Bishop e4. We're just ignoring pawns and development here, not playing h6 or g6, but just getting our bishop out. It likes black. What about taking here? Just rook b8. Black is completely active. What about taking here? Just castle. Just got two pawns for that piece deficit, but those pieces aren't playing at all. Oh, this bishop has to watch c2. That's key. Otherwise I'll just grab this rook in the corner. So b3, then d5. Bishop has to go to d3, then e4. Okay, and the bishop goes to b2. Alright. Some clever defense. Knight f3. We're still going to remain down a piece here. Bishop has to save itself. We got knight e1 check. Oh, and we're getting that rook anyway. At least the exchange. Okay. Yeah, this... Bishop f5. Black does look good here. Got all the center. White's got the two bishops, but yeah, I prefer black for sure. Okay, that's a long line. What did it think about my move, queen f4? Oh, white is much better. This gives me a chance to go back into the line I should have. Rook f8. What about castling? Well, that's what I did in the game. Okay, not much better. Queen h5. Queen f4 is the right way to go about this. It says there's a draw. Is there? King e1. Queen takes c4. And is this a mistake for white? Apparently yes. Still an exchange. Okay, no, material. It's hard to keep track of material in these positions. Alright, I'm 2 pawns up. My king is a little bit more safe. A little bit less safe than white's king. So king e7. I guess I'll be able to get my queen back to f7. And my knight guards over e5 in the center. So yeah, that line was a lot better. Now it's mate in 6. Mate in 6. Queen takes g6. Oh, I can't take here. There's a mate. Queen g3 was a complete blunder, a horrible blunder. I thought trading queens, there's no mate threats anymore, but lo and behold, that's a very simple and obvious mate threat. Okay, big difference between queen g3 and queen f4, unlike I had seen, and it came down to these patterns and recognizing the long distance rook move. I'm always on the lookout for discoveries with the bishop here, and this knight is pinned, but that doesn't matter if it's supporting a checkmate. Okay, but I could have been on the winning end of things here with... No, not the winning end. I should have kept my king on e8 and played rook f8. That likes black. Queen e2. I'm going to go back further with the opening book. Okay, in the Traxler, there's not a lot of examples in the database here at the master level. So king f1 is the main move, but king takes f2. But look at the performance difference. Those 10 games, king takes f2. Black wins a lot more games. King f1 has a pretty bad track record, it looks like. Let's check that out. d5. E takes d5. Knight d4. d6 is the critical line. I would think queen f8 here. What's wrong with queen f8? Bishop can come in for a check. Alright, I need to check out the Miodrag Perusevich's, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, his video on the Traxler Counterattack once again to find the lines here. The practice might be a lot different than the theory. d6 seems just simply winning. Maybe there's some outrageous in-between move. Well, let's look at these lines. Queen takes d6 seems a little more active to me. Knight f7 though, and the queen is being hit. Queen c5, we indirectly protect this bishop, we kind of threaten that bishop. d3, now bishop g4, queen has only one move. And bishop h4. I had a Traxler game that went similar to this, but the knight never got out of the corner. That's a big difference. Knight c3. I suppose that prevents b5. Well, it doesn't really. b5 will still win this knight back, won't it? b4. Ah, a key move. Queen e7. Bishop b3. Well, now we win the knight, right? Am I missing something? Knight d5. Knight d5. Oh, we're just making threats. What about this? Taking that knight's support away. Still likes white better. A takes b3. Queen takes f7, and we don't have enough material. White's up in exchange. Got the two bishops, and that king looks unsafe, but it's not that unsafe. King g1. What's the pawn count look like? 6 to 6. White's got some cramped up pieces here, but it's not enough to compensate for the material advantage he has. Alright. How about c takes? That doesn't get into a lot of these tactics. Now just king takes f2, huh? That doesn't help at all. Getting the bishop into the game. Queen f1. Knight takes c2. We're going to get a rook in a corner ourselves. h3. Bishop d7. Guarding against checks here. d4. Just grab on a1. Also threatening to get out. D takes e5. Queen takes e5. Is this really that much better for white? I guess it's just a matter of raw material, huh? This bishop is protected. So white, again, develops and stops the d5 thrust. That doesn't really stop the d5 thrust, does it? Okay, it does. We can get the knight out. So, material-wise, there's that extra knight in the corner. That's what it comes down to. And it looks like he's getting out. King G3. We can make life kind of awkward for this king. But not enough. It's not enough. Knight E4. Huh. Black's king is too unsafe. Okay, a lot of these lines are really critical, and if some of these are just outright refutations, I might just have to quit the Traxler. I don't think they are, though. I just think we're not seeing them in the tournament practice. Okay, that was just that's a completely separate line from what we actually played. Right, okay. Knight takes H8 is the best move here. This is the forced draw line. This is where you need to take on H8, and then I take his knight. And I'm still on the bishop. D3. Huh. Okay, I'm just gonna have to get back to the theory on this stuff. I don't know that looking at this, my own analysis at this hour anyway, is gonna do a whole lot. Rook F8 here instead. Yeah, white allowed me to achieve a good position. I was worried about Queen H5. Now just the queen comes back to G3 and we repin that knight. Once again, we're stepping into this lethal discovery, but no bother, no matter here. Bishop takes, and then we're getting what, bishop, is this coming in with any kind of threat? No. Queen H4, and now we're losing. The idea here is knight B4. What? Knight takes C2 anyway. The bishop can't really guard because then check. And yeah, it's curtains for white here. Gotta give up the queen. I wonder if this is even... No, rook G1. So D5, crazy stuff. Followed up with knight B4. Wow. Okay, but actually from here, white shouldn't have gone back to G1. At this moment, rook F8 is the best move. But it's looking to be some kind of forced draw. D6, Queen F3. Take, yeah, that's that line we looked at earlier. I got 3 pawns for the piece, but I got a lot of initiative, and we looked at this kind of stuff. Okay, I gotta go back to the books on the Traxler, especially this line. Let's see, was that a King F1 line we looked at? Yeah. D6. D6 is the big move there. How to deal with that? What about Queen F8? Has that been tried? Doesn't like that. Computer hates that move. Okay, I'm going to rewatch that video, see if I can find that. See if the Traxler is going to be something we continue playing. There's lots of other fun options in the two knights defense at least. So this has been very feisty. I've enjoyed this. Should have lost this game. Somehow got a technical KO here. But anyway, it's pretty late. I got to get to bed. Stay feisty, folks.